This is the invisible anchor of the workplace and the family, the person who resolves a team conflict or anticipates a crisis before anyone else notices. This work occupies three categories. Emotional labor absorbs the feelings of others. Cognitive labor tracks endless logistics. Institutional memory holds unwritten relationship histories. Researchers call this parallel distributed processing, running multiple data streams simultaneously and converting them into action without formal credit. Society misdiagnoses this layered cognitive processing as a personality quirk. By framing her competence as simply being caring, the system sets her up for a collapse that remains invisible to those around her. This manifests as a specific exhaustion that sits behind the eyes. It persists through full nights of sleep and remains unchanged by a long weekend away. Physical recovery systems fail to reach this depletion because the brain structures managing her life never clock out. While the body rests, the planning and monitoring systems remain active. This burnout serves as a biological warning sign that the fatigue originates in the mind's architecture rather than the muscles. The prefrontal cortex shows chronic activation, constantly handling planning. This sustained load creates stress inoculation, training the brain to handle pressure that paralyzes others. The anterior cingulate cortex physically rewires, developing efficient pathways for rapid crisis management. While others spiral during a crisis, her brain executes a response pattern it has practiced dozens of times. She operates on a faster, specialized operating system for handling chaos. Her characteristic steadiness clearly marks the presence of an evolved neurological capacity born from navigating relentless demands. Women in their 40s were handed a specific deal: independence through education and professional achievement. They entered the workforce intending to fulfill that contract. The rules changed mid-career. The compounding pressure of elder care and childcare collided with professional structures, designed for a workforce that relied on stay-at-home spouses to manage the domestic load. Society uses the label of superhero as a form of systemic gaslighting. The praise acknowledges the weight she carries, while the infrastructure to reduce that weight remains unbuilt. The guilt of never feeling enough is a rational biological response to being forced to solve a structural impossibility. Despite these systemic frictions, nearly half of women in the sandwich generation report genuine life satisfaction. They utilize narrative identity to protect their mental health. Instead of viewing their obligations as things that happen to them, they frame their burdens as a chosen expression of their own values. This internal locus of control keeps the engine running. Success is measured by an internal compass, rather than waiting for external validation that rarely arrives. She has engineered a sense of purpose out of the exact complexity that was predicted to break her. Extreme self-sufficiency creates an unintended consequence. By absorbing every problem, she trains the people around her to expect zero distress and to stop offering support. Her brilliant adaptation to scarcity makes her genuine needs invisible. The workaround is so effective that the original need for help disappears from the view of those closest to her. The high-functioning strategy that allowed her to survive has slowly become a psychological cage of isolation. Moving forward requires a shift away from the binary of the superhero or the cautionary tale. These labels fail to account for the reality of her capacity and its cost. The Saturday morning, unscheduled private time functions as load-bearing architecture for the brain. It preserves the interior self that exists independently of external demands. This requires turning her formidable capacity for maintenance inward. She must apply the same patience and grace to her own systems that she routinely offers to everyone else. Holding the world together depends on this internal maintenance, the courage to move from being needed to finally being known.